from the Cannes Film Festival, where politics has become the star of the show. The Ukrainian president gave a surprise address on opening night via Skype. Zelensky was, of course, an actor before he was elected, and he believes strongly in the power of cinema. In a moment, we'll speak to the only Russian director with a film showing. But first, here's a look at how the conflict is being reflected on the Croisette.
The red carpet may be rolled out, but it's blue and yellow on everyone's minds at Cannes this year. The 75th edition of the festival reaffirmed its support for Ukraine, with the country's President Volodymyr Zelensky kicking off the opening ceremony with an emotional appeal.
People die every day. They are not going to get up after the last applause. But what do we hear about it now? Will the cinema be silent, or will it talk about it?
Cannes is not shying away from the war, with two outspoken Ukrainian directors in its final selection. One of them is the famous Sergei Loznitsa, who won the Un Certain Regard Award for Best Director for Donbass in 2018. The fictional film was largely inspired by the 2014 war between Ukrainian forces and pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine. This year, Sergei Loznitsa returns to Cannes with the natural history of destruction that will be shown in a special screening. Competing in the Un Certain Regard category is fellow Ukrainian director Maxim Nakonechny. His film Butterfly Vision is on the trauma left by the 2014 Donbass war. Cannes is also paying tribute to Lithuanian director Mantas Varavarytsiu. He was killed in early April by the Russian army in the besieged city of Mariupol while shooting the second part of his documentary, Mariupolis. Mariupolis 2 is now showing at Cannes.
I hope that people would think for themselves during watching this movie and make their own decision.
While there is a strong Ukrainian presence, Cannes has barred Russians with ties to the government from attending this year.
Pas de représentation officielle.
There will be no official Russian representatives, that is to say, from the Russian government, which is the one that is waging war in Ukraine.
Et on pense qu'il faut quand même, nous, peut-être parce que c'est plus facile.
However, we think that we should try to make a distinction with the Russians who take risks, once again, to resist the official line.
À résister à la parole officielle.
Dissident filmmaker Kirill Serebrennikov is doing just that. His film, Tchaikovsky's Wife, has been selected to compete for the Palme d'Or.
He's perhaps the most awaited director at this year's Cannes Film Festival. Kirill Serebrennikov is the only Russian with a film in the official selection. In previous years, he was barred from coming by Russia to accompany his films here. But now he's in exile in Berlin, and his film, Tchaikovsky's Wife, is competing for the big prize. Kirill Serebrennikov, hello.
Hello.
What does it mean to be here at the Cannes Film Festival?
It's really important because it's the best platform for giving the birth to the film, actually, because you know, film is a baby. You need to find the best place to give a birth.
I was in the screening with you. How did you feel sitting there watching the film with the audience after not being allowed to come to Cannes for the past two films, Lito and Petrov's Flu?
Saying the truth, it's always a torture to watch the film with the audience, you know, because it's really not possible, almost not possible to focus on what's happening on the screen. But it's a very touching moment when they applauded in the end of the film. For me, I felt kind of a lot of love and I don't know, tenderness to all these people who supported us and me personally.
Well, you weren't allowed to come for the last two films. Do you feel like a dissident artist? Do you see yourself as that?
Look, I feel as an artist under the pressure, in the risk, in whatever. I even have a badge, artist in risk or what, something like this. But I don't think about myself in all these terms like dissident, risk, pressure. I'm just trying to do what I have to do.
President Zelensky gave a speech during the opening ceremony. What do you think about a political leader speaking out at a festival, a film festival?
I think that for the festival it's really important to give a statement that festival is not really far from what's happening today in Europe. It's terrible, bloody war. Festival is not only about art and films and blah, blah, blah. It's also part of this agenda, and it's really close to what we're thinking about every second.
What does it mean to you then to be the only Russian director in official selection?
It means that we are fighting for Russian culture, because Russian culture, I mean real Russian culture, not propaganda, not kind of coming from the state culture, but real Russian culture always is about human's life, is about how vulnerable people are, how fragile the human life is. So that's why the Russian culture always completely against war.
Well, let's talk about the film, Tchaikovsky's Wife. It's tragic.
Yes, it's a sad story. It's a story of obsession, a story of huge egos fighting with each other. It's probably a story of people who don't understand each other, and that's led to the true tragedy.
Добрый вечер, сударыня. Вас ожидают?
Нет. То есть, да, у меня там муж.
Как?
Муж, мне к мужу надо.
Ну, позвольте, сударыня, однако, господа, кручи.
Это унижение музыки.
А ведь не дурно?
Не дурно.
Машина играет хуже человека, это же слышно.
Ну играет же. Не каждый человек так сыграет. А в ноты попадает.
Не знаю, я на педали с большой душой жму. Талантливо?
It's visually exquisite as well. The description of the film talks about the composer's homosexuality, but the film's not really about that, is it?
Yeah, thanks God that you noted that it's not about homosexuality of Tchaikovsky, it's not completely about something else.
Why did you want to tell it from his wife's point of view?
Because it's interesting. I like to be in the brain of the women. It's important, by the way, sometimes to use female lenses. Sometimes it helps to get better what's happening around us.
One line that really struck me in the film was geniuses are permitted anything.
Yeah, geniuses is allowed to be allowed to.
Do you think that's true?
It's a question. Of course, it's a question. It's a question coming from Dostoevsky. Even is it possible for genius or for kind of Napoleon to kill the people? For genius to be responsible for suffering of other people? It's a question, and each person has to answer this question by himself.
And one question that she asks in the film, or she says, he's so talented, he couldn't do such a terrible thing. People don't believe that people with talent can be bad people, do they?
Yeah, it's a big topic, by the way. It's probably a problem of Antonina, who generously gave all her love to this image of great composer. And for her, it's completely not acceptable to get that the genius can be complex. And it's a problem when we create idol or monument instead of person. Each person consists of blood and flesh.
Стоп!
Не очень удобное место, которое лечит.
Ну, выброси его к черту. Толя, тут бемоль у тебя. Понимаете, милые мои, я бы хотел, чтобы это звучало как восход солнца.
The next film that you've been working on is about the Russian poet and dissident Limonov. It stars Ben Whishaw. You were filming it in Russia when the war broke out. What was that like?
Yeah, it's a long journey, and gonna start it, kind of the second part of it really soon. It's an extraordinary book by famous French writer, Emmanuel Carrère, and the book is about great person, a very special Russian character, very typically Russian, by the way, Eduard Limonov, who, by the way, by nature he's from Ukraine. He lived next to Kharkov. It's a film about what's happening with us today, somehow.
Limonov was incarcerated by Vladimir Putin. You've had your own problems, your own troubles with Putin, who gave you a travel ban, put you under house arrest. Do you identify with the poet in any way?
Oh, no, it's much more complicated, I guess. When you're saying Putin gave me the house arrest, it doesn't work like this. It's a system, and it's a long talk about how it works, as my own version. But of course, Limonov was a character who talked a lot about the Russian world and about the war with Ukraine, by the way. So he was kind of prophet of what's happening today.
What do you think is going to happen next then with the war in Ukraine and the conflict?
I hope that it will be over sooner or later. Hope that, because the most terrible thing today is suffering of the people, violence, suffering of the people. Culture and film and theater and music has to raise the level of human state to get less violence in the world.
Kirill Serebrennikov, thank you.
Thank you for
so much.
Invitation.
Thank you. Well done.
I had my chance and I blew it all. Knew right from